Good evening, everyone. I've entitled this video Churchiosity. I don't even think that's a word. Churchiosity. I'm 68 years old, and Rosette, Mark, and I were sitting around this afternoon. We thought we'd have a little fun and make a list of all the different churches or speakers, preachers that we can think of. Now, there's no way we could list all the preachers because that would be exhaustive. But some of the main ones, and I'm going to read you these. I'm going to read them, and I'm going to post it all over the social media to prove that I have had a lot of experience in going to different churches in my life. And by the way, that's why we have Pineville Grace Fellowship today. All these other churches birthed our house church because of all the false doctrine. So I'm in kind of a funny mood tonight because I was amazed because I've often said, we have attended over 100 churches. Well, so far our list with the on-air churches we've attended, watching it on television when we were younger, it's up to 121. So enjoy this, reflect on this. One of the first churches I ever attended was the Fire Baptized Holiness Church. I attended the Church of God Holiness in Gravette, Arkansas. I attended a church called Sny Mills Westland Church. I attended the Church of God Holiness in Overland Park, Kansas. I attended the Church of God Holiness in South Park. That's in Merriam, Kansas. I attended the Church of God Holiness that I.C. Holland pastored. I attended the Church of God Holiness at Rosedale, where Pastor Payne pastored. I attended Summit View Nazarene Church. I attended the Westland Church in Kansas City, Kansas. The Grace Pentecostal Church in Belton, in Blue Springs, Missouri. The Sheffield Assembly of God, where, what was his name? Anyway, he was a renowned, very well-known pastor, Pastor Westlake. The Purdy Assembly, where my current mother-in-law now, they changed the name, it's no longer, it's something else now, New Life or something. Reformed Baptist in Lee Summit, Missouri. First Baptist Church in Memphis, where Adrian Rogers pastored. Birchwood Baptist, where Dr. Lindy Reed pastored. He baptized me. Raytown Baptist, Primitive Baptist in Kansas City, where I was a deacon. The Primitive Baptist Church of Independence, where my dad attended, where the elder is married now to the clerk of the church. That's his third marriage. Old School Baptist in Mena, Arkansas. Primitive Old in Excelsior Springs. Primitive New in Excelsior Springs. Primitive Baptist in Creek down here in Ozark. Love Primitive Baptist over here not too far from where we live. Little Flock Primitive Baptist down in Rogers. Reformed Presbyterian in Shawnee. We were members of that church. Grace Reformed. Sovereign Grace, Joplin, Missouri. Cumberland Presbyterian in Warrensburg, Missouri. Independent Baptist churches we've attended. United Presbyterians, Orthodox Presbyterian, Lane Avenue Christian Reformed, Protestant Reformed up in Arlington Heights, up in that area, as well as we went up to Dordt College. Free Presbyterian Church, Lee Summit. We were thinking about becoming members of that, but they wanted me to fill out an application. Okay. Milan Primitive Baptist. That's where the guy said that he thought Bruce was his name, I think, and he was preaching on Billy Graham, said that he thought Billy Graham was doing a great job. That made a great influence on a lot of people and stuff. Church of God, Mesa, Arizona. That's where we were married. Centerview Baptist Church. That's where my brother attended for a while, and we visited Tri-City Baptist, Lee Summit, Missouri, Enon Baptist Church. I believe that was in across the street from when we lived in Pittsville, Missouri. Kingsville Grace, Mid-American Nazarene College Church, Church of God, Olathe, Kansas, Evangel Temple, Craig Orick Church in St. Joseph, Full Faith Church of Love, Pastor Ernie Gruen, Fundamental Methodist, that's where my brother-in-law pastors, or I don't know if he still pastors there, but he did. Unity on the Plaza, Unity Village, Gospel Center Church. My wife sang at the RLDS Now Community of Christ for the Messiah every year. Seventh-day Adventists, we went to a seminar there. Martin Luther Lutheran Church in Lee Summit. Are you counting? Are you counting? I hope you're keeping track of all these. We're now going into number 57. Lutheran Church in Independence. Presbyterian Church in Independence. Union Church in Cameron, Missouri. Bible Baptist, Tri-City in Cameron, Missouri. Beacon Baptist in Independence. Assembly of God, Susquehanna, Independence. Trinity Baptist, Cincinnati, Ohio. Sovereign Grace, Pastor Chamberlain is the pastor in Oklahoma. Missionary Baptist, Roy Smith's church, I don't know what it is. Westboro Baptist, Fred Phelps. Wesleyan Holiness in Colorado. Thurman Mitchell's church, Black Guy's church in Kansas City. Brad Campbell's father's church, I don't know what his name is. Paseo Baptist Church, Kansas City, Pastor Briscoe. Greg Orick's Church in St. Joseph. Hope Sound Holiness Church. Eastwood Westland Church. St. Mark's Catholic Church in Independence. United Reformed Church in North Kansas City. You think I'm lying, folks? We've been to all these churches, for crying out loud. Harvest Church. Springfield Sovereign Grace. Dan Norsini's church in Texas. Primitive Baptist Church in Texas. Pilgrim Holiness in Indiana. Pilgrim Holiness Camp Meeting. Camp Meeting in Overland Park, Kansas. Christian Church in Overland Park. Open Door Baptist in Kansas City, Kansas. Alta Vista Baptist in Weatherby, Missouri. First Baptist in Cameron, Missouri. Hope Baptist in Weatherby, Missouri. Church of God Holiness, North Kansas City, Serbrook was the pastor there. Church of the Nazarene, Overland Park. Church of the Nazarene, my aunt's church on Antioch. Sovereign Grace Church in Kansas City, Missouri. Okay, are you ready? We're going on. Number 88. Yes, we attended many services and listened and watched Robert Schuler's Crystal Cathedral. The First Baptist Church of Atlanta, Charles Stanley. Listen to Rex Humbart, Cathedral of Tomorrow. Listen to Kenneth Copeland, Benny Hinn. We actually attended a Benny Hinn in St. Louis. I attended a Billy Graham crusade at the Royal Stadium. Listen to Tony Evans. Listen to Jimmy Swaggart. Listen to Oliver Green. Lester Roloff. Woodrow Crow, Back to the Bible. John Hagee, Cornerstone. James Boyce. David J. Smith, down in Arkansas. Peter Popoff, Messianic Church. Calvary Baptist. Jack Hayford. Chuck Swindoll. D. James Kinney, Coral Ridge. Harold Campion, Larry Rice, Perry Stone. Pastor Lloyd Ogilvie. Church of God in Indiana. Paul Crouch. Pastor Shambach. Bishop Sheen. Unity in Kansas. J. Vernon McGee. Gravitt Camp Meeting. Covenant Presbyterian Church. Oak Grove Pentecostal and Yellowstone Church. That's 121, and we're still counting. Okay. You say, well, why did you give us all this information? Because I want you to realize that 90% of those churches were free willers, Arminians. Okay, and the ones that said they were reformed weren't really reformed at all, because they were into common grace, they were into the well-meant offer of the gospel, and they were endorsing people like, well, you know, I've mentioned these people before. I won't go into all of that, but anyway, I've called this video Churchiosity. Churchiosity. And all of those churches birthed Pineville Grace Fellowship. And today, Pineville Grace Fellowship, we had over 1,000 views. So a lot of people must think like we are thinking. We had over 1,000 views today on our broadcast, different social programs. Guess how many people we had in our actual physical location? This is going to blow your mind. Are you listening? We had over 1,000 viewers, but guess how many we had in our house church? 3. 3 people. Mark, Rosette, and me. And so I think a lot of people are starting to wake up and smell the coffee. You know, they're not woke, they're awake. So that's what's on my mind tonight. Think about all of these different churches out there and how they're all under the banner of free will. That's why I wrote the book, The Lies of Free Will, because it's nothing more than a pack of lies. If you like my book, The Lies of Free Will, I'll send you a free copy, PDF copy. If you will go to my website, LarryWPhillips.com, and go to the contact section and say, send me your book on the lies of free will, and I'll be happy to send you a PDF copy. I hope you have a great evening. Bye for now.